Picture yourself having been in a day boat for years. You've been cruising around the coast, maybe going restaurant, things along those lines. It's time for you to graduate. You want to move up to a real boat, but you don't want to give up a lot of the things that you know and love. Full walk around capability, cruising at 30 knots, comfort level, but you'd also want get up into the yacht class. Well, wait till you see what I'm about to show you here, the Targa 37. I'm about to do a full features inspection. I'm Captain Steve.
The Targa 37 is, in a nutshell, an adventure boat. That means she's designed to go nearly anywhere and do so safely. She has a hull designed to handle rough conditions and a comfort level to warrant an upgrade from nearly anything in the size range. An upgrade is the key phrase, as there's nothing casual about this boat. Her size is right in a sweet spot in the lineup, and even though she's new to the US market, she's already wildly popular. She has a length overall of 40 feet 6 inches, a beam of 11 feet 5 inches, and a draft of 3 feet 6 inches. She weighs in at 18,078 pounds, carries 356 gallons of fuel, and 60 gallons of water. Now, let's get into the features. Let's start on the outside. The Targa 37 is stern drive powered with engines ranging from dual 320 horsepower on up to 440 horsepower. You can also opt for IPS 500s, 600s, or 650s if you want pod functionality. With twin 380 horsepower stern drives, Targa says the 37 will top out at 38 knots and cruise at 32. There's a huge platform in a fixed position, and here's an interesting feature. There's a hatch in the center of the platform that allows access to the tilted outdrives, convenient for cleaning lines and grass from the props without having to get into the water. I'd like to see the hatch include flush hinges though, since bare feet is typically the norm on a platform. There are two gentle steps up through a pair of center-mounted gates at the aft cockpit deck. Gates come together and lock into position with a latch that covers the two top sections of the rail, and there are also two trigger-style latches that secure to inserts in the deck. When closed, the bottom is see-through, but still safe for small kids and pets. Truly a clever design.
Notice that we also have convenient fender storage and storage for a propane bottle because we have propane stove inside. We'll get to that shortly.
The cockpit includes seating to both sides consistent with storage boxes with cushions on top. Additional stools are alongside to form an L. Courtesy lights are below the benches. This is all repeated to the opposite side where there's also a 30 amp shore power cord. Forward, the seating includes a chill box, and then storage alongside that.
Now let's take a look at the engine compartment. And that's accessed by lifting up these two hatches that are held open by gas support struts, so very easy to get into. But more important, notice that in the open position, I can still get around these hatches. We're not trapped inside when somebody wants to get into the engine compartment. Focal point, of course, the Volvo Pendant D6 440 horsepower engines, turning DPI outdrives. We've got three 330 amp hour lithium ion batteries. Engine start batteries are just over to the opposite side. Notice all the electrical work, how neatly labeled everything is. Got a 5 kW Fisher Panda generator. There's even storage for spare propellers, which will guarantee that you're never going to need them. And of course, easy access into the bilge area. There's even storage underneath the hatch for cockpit tables if you get that option. We've got symmetrical side decks 18 inches wide to both port and starboard. To the port hand side, there's also an access ladder going up to the overhead where we have some storage. There are racks where we could put dinghy, stand-up paddle boards, kayaks. Notice that the arch just behind is elevated, so that takes us above any gear that we're storing up here. Forward, take a look at this. I mean, a massive set of LED lights. Solar panel, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The LED lights, well, you're not going to use these in a harbor because they're just too bright. But if you're cruising along at night and want to avoid some lobster pots, fish pots, These are your lights to do that with, and they will just literally turn nighttime into daytime. So there's no need for forward-looking infrared. There's also a remote control spotlight. And in the forward corner, there's a work light, so we can work this whole area, get the lines ready, anchoring, all of this. It lights not only the entire bow area, but the area outside the bow as well. Now, again, regarding these LED lights, I say you're not going to use these in the harbor. For that, we have 2 more lights up at the bow. A couple of extra features to talk about in this area before we step away. First of all, side boarding gates, and look at the latch on this, very cool. But this is repeated to both sides. There's also a docking station here right next to 1.75 inch thick grab rail. 7 feet off the deck, we've got an extended overhead coming out 47 inches from this aft bulkhead. And notice how everything is angled forward here, giving the boat kind of a rakish look from its profile. Let's take a look inside. A lot of yacht quality features going on in this area. First of all, the settee, U-shaped. We've got a table that's expandable. Alcantara suede on the seats, and of course you can get any upholstery that you want. Beautiful teak woodwork going all around this boat. Windows almost all the way around as well. We can close them off with curtains so that we can turn this into a berth if we want by lowering the table and adding a filler cushion. And we can also drop down some sunscreens in case the sun gets a little too much in here and we want to cool down the UV effect. Now, there are several ways we can control the climate inside this area. We've got the air conditioning, reverse cycle air conditioning, which can also add heat. We can heat the boat with the engines and the bus system coming off of those engines. We've got electric, which we can use off of shore power, and we also have a diesel heater. Just behind me, there is a little storage area for a pop-up TV. The galley is just across with solid surface counter, raised fiddle to keep everything in place. There's a single basin stainless steel sink with hot and cold water and seawater. Counter extends over to the cooktop, which is 2-burner, and this is propane, where we have the bottle storing out on the transom that we talked about earlier. And we have an oven underneath. Of course, we can option this out for a microwave if we'd like as well. Cockpit refrigerator underneath the helm seat. Also notice all the storage that we have underneath. Above the galley, remote battery switches, your electrical panel, inverter control, generator control, cabin temperature, and your diesel heater control. Notice also the beautiful fit and finish. I mean, even the vents have trim around them. The teak work is just outstanding here. They include a 12-volt fan, and look at, everybody else would just put speakers recessed into the overhead. Not Targa. They actually have teak mounts for the speakers. Just outstanding fit and finish here. Of course, the forward seat back is flipped, so we can use it either facing the dinette or joining the captain and having a wonderful view as we get underway. Now, there's a couple of things I need to point out here. First of all, let's bring this down so we can enjoy the full view. We've got 3 windshields angled forward, so we're reducing glare again. We've got opening doors to both port and starboard. Take a look at this storage underneath here. In addition to the usual drawer storage, we've got silverware sorting, and take a look at this. Sorting for the tableware. I should also mention this flip footrest. Drop it down and notice it's got a center support as well. And the observers can also take a part in the navigation by accessing convenient chartbook storage. Up above, we've got an opening sunroof completely surrounded by teak, and it also includes both blackout shades and bug screen. Have to say they did a really nice job on this helm. First of all, it's starboard side mounted. There's an opening door right alongside, so we can easily get to the midship cleat, handling the boat short-handed or single-handed. Beautiful wood steering wheel is mounted to a tilt base. All the electrical switches are below dual 12-inch screens. Joystick is over to the right-hand side, so we can come into the dock with our hand on the stick as we have a view the full side of the boat. Digital engine controls just behind that. Bow thruster control over on the left-hand side. And of course, we've got our autopilot just outside of that. Zip weight controller is fully forward. Beverage holder. Nice grab handle here. And we also have additional displays up above. 2 Garmin displays and a multifunction display. Additional electrical switches, analog gauges, and a stereo. One thing I notice, the compass is mounted in the center of this whole area. I'm not sure that that's a good idea. I would, of course, rather see it in line with the helm. Now, this is comfortable enough while we're standing, and it's actually remarkably comfortable while I'm standing. But when you transition to the sitting position, well, we're kind of far back, but there's a couple of things to talk about. First of all, we've got a footrest, so there is a comfort level. The seat, shock absorbing, I like that. Of course, the panel is still a bit far away, so it's a little hard to control the boat from back here, but there's a solution to that. Simply bring the panel to you. Now, much more comfortable. We still have the tilt wheel functionality. We even have control of the autopilot and the forward displays right on the armrest. And remember that sunshade that I talked about in the galley? Well, that's on every window. In the no space goes to waste department, the hatch over the companionway has a little storage behind. Storage in the middle. And storage at the front. This one even includes removable beverage holders. Now let's move on to the accommodations, and we'll start with the forward ones accessed from this companionway, and it's a little bit narrow, actually, at 18 inches. Also a little bit steep, so make sure you're holding on. There's a grab handle just above, but I'd like to see this be able to latch into position so that I could get better use of this grab handle. Headroom in this forward stateroom, 5 feet 11 inches, which leaves us 3 feet 11 inches over the berth that measures 79 inches by 64 inches. Beautiful woodwork going all the way around, giving it a yacht-like quality. There's another 12-volt fan, opening port lights, shiplap teak over to the starboard side. Additional storage solutions are over to the port side. There's also an ensuite. This is a wet head, chlorine counter, small sink, shelf storage, opening port light for ventilation. Now we have one more stateroom located aft. I'm thinking that this is going to be the master stateroom. Let's take a look. Now this stateroom has kind of a unique setup. First of all, there's an 82-inch by 55-inch berth to the port hand side. Opening port lights, another 12-volt fan, storage above. Headroom in this location is 5 feet 8 inches, which gives us 2 feet 8 inches over the berth. Now, there's a big centerpiece here that is used for storing either our water tank, or we can just have drawer storage here. And right alongside that is another berth, 82 inches by 35 inches. This will probably be used more for storage, but I'd like to see this converted into like a couch, something along those lines. You know, frankly, there are so many things to be impressed with on this boat. I don't know where to start or where to end. It seems like every turn I was more and more impressed. And that's my full features inspection of the Targa 37. If you liked what you see, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. I'm Captain Steve, and I will see you on the water.